I will start with a brief overview of the procedural background of this evaluation. On 8 July 2022, the Commission sent you a request for the submission of the 5-year declaration of assets and personal interests. On 15th of July, you submitted your 5-year declaration. The Commission also asked candidates to voluntarily complete and submit an ethics questionnaire, and you did so on the 5th of July of this year. The Commission sent you 4 rounds of questions on 15th of August, 15 November, 29 November and 5 December respectively. You were asked a total number of 25 questions, including 50 subparts, and 19 of the questions included a request for further documentation. According to Article 3, Paragraph 4 of the evaluation rules of the Commission, a candidate may not provide information, documents or other materials during the hearing if the Commission requested these earlier and the candidate did not provide them within the time specified, unless, of course, the candidate provides sufficient justification therefore. Members of the Commission will now start with asking you questions, and Mrs. Nona Tsotoria will start with asking questions. We will try to keep our questions short and to the point, and we ask that your answers be short and to the point as well. In addition, at the end of the hearing, we will go into closed session to raise one particular issue with you where issues of privacy do play a role, and we consider it relevant to do so in closed session. Mrs. Tsotoria, you have the floor.
Thank you. Greetings, Judge Chirtoacă. My first issue is related to the beneficial ownership of the car model Mercedes-Benz E220D. On 7 October 2020, you concluded a mandatory insurance contract for the insurance period of about 3 months for a Mercedes E220D model car. Your girlfriend, who later became your wife, had a mandatory insurance contract for the same car for the insurance period for about 1 year. You did not declare this car in your 2021 NIA declaration. In your 5-year declaration, you declared that your brother had bought this car in Moldova in 2021 for the declared price of 350,000 Moldovan leis, which is about 17,000 euros. You also provided the purchase contract for the car. You told the Commission that your brother had paid cash for the car. You noted that at the time of purchasing the car, your brother did not have a driving license issued in Moldova. Therefore, he asked you to conclude the insurance contract for the car. Later, your brother asked you to conclude another insurance contract under your wife's name. You stated that neither you nor your wife use this car and that it is parked in the car park. You also noted that you are not capable of driving a car. 3 cars were previously registered under your wife's name. The market value of this model car is around 30,000 euros. In the period of 2016 to 2022, your brother's total income amounted to roughly 55,000 euros. The total income of your brother's wife's income for the period of 2016 to 2021 was about 40,000 euros. You also stated that your parents had donated 5,000 euros to your brother so that he could purchase the car. I will begin by asking you some questions to establish the facts. Hopefully, this can be answered with yes or no response. Later, I will ask you some questions that will seek greater detail or explanations from you. In October 2020, you concluded a mandatory insurance contract for the insurance period of 15 July 2021 to 6 October 2021 for a Mercedes E220D model car. Your wife had a mandatory insurance contract for the same car for the insurance period of 16th October 2021 to 15 October 2022. Both of your names appeared as the beneficiary of this insurance. Is it correct?
Hello, I will, first of all, thank you for your question. That was a question that I anticipated, and I would like to clarify the following things. First of all, I never concluded any insurance contract on 7th October 2020. The dates that you have, October 7th, 2020, is not correct. I concluded, if I'm not mistaken, 15 July 2021, and my brother purchased it, if I'm not mistaken, on July 14, 2021, and I only extended that insurance. As I mentioned when I submitted the declaration under point 17, I mean, I make reference to 19th of July current year. I said that the Commission may have some questions about this car. From the very beginning, because the Commission asked us to let us know about other information that may be of interest to the Commission. Indeed, in June 2021, my brother and his wife came from abroad. They stayed in Moldova. Maybe I'm mistaken by a couple of days, but the wife was here between June and September 2021, but my brother stayed in the country since June until October 2021. During that time, he left for 1 or 2 times. But their purpose and that long period of time that they spent in the country was for them to settle in the country because their boy was supposed to go to school. And taking into account the fact that, to make it clear, I mean for everyone, for people that are present in the room, for the society and for the Commission members, the car was purchased from an acquaintance. They are sort of relatives by christening. That person who sold that car was in urgent need of money. The family had some problems which needed urgently money. So I said that in the 5-year declaration, I said that the previous owner of the car can be contacted, the one that was before July 2021. And since he was friends with my brother, they went to a company that sells cars, because there is a big difference between companies that sell cars on the market, the price that they show, and the actual price of selling and buying these cars. And having the intention to settle down in the country, being a young family up to 40 years of age, having financial resources, the price offered by that company, so the price that my brother's friend was giving was more or less the same, 350, 360,000. The only thing I asked my brother is to mention the real price of a transaction. I did not take part in any of this things. Subsequently, I said that my brother indeed left the country in 2008. He studied and then in 2014 started to work officially. His wife.
If I may, I have all the questions to go through, and you will be given possibility to answer them, because I have a whole set of issues. If I may proceed, and then I'm sure that I will cover some of the issues that you are now talking about, if you allow me to proceed.
Just one moment, I'm sorry. I did not conclude any insurance contract in October 2020, only in July 2021 for extending for that 3-month period. That's what I wanted to mention. Because I don't know where the information comes from, it's not true. In 2020 I didn't conclude any insurance contract. So this was an extension period, the last 3 months.
Yes, this is what I wanted to confirm, because we have a document which says this date, and this is just confirmed. So you confirm that this is actually the date the previous owner concluded the contract, in fact, and then you took the part that was left in a...
Exactly.
This is what we want to confirm.
Exactly.
So... okay.
Exactly.
So your statement is that this contract was not concluded in 2020. This is what we wanted to confirm with you, because this document says this date. Okay, so let me move forward. Is there any new insurance policy for this car covering the periods after 15 October 2022? And if so, under whose name?
After October 15, 2022, there is, well, the insurance policy was not extended because my brother will come for the winter holidays home.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Next question. You did not declare this car in your 2021 year declaration. You told the Commission that you had, I quote, no reason to declare it as the car belonged neither to you nor to your wife. End of the quote. Is this correct?
Exactly.
I think you covered already this issue, but let me still read it out. You informed the Commission that your brother had asked you to conclude these contracts, and as he did not have a driving license issued in Moldova. You also said that your brother and his family, I quote, had returned from abroad to Republic of Moldova and intended to settle down either in Republic of Moldova or Russia, end of the quote. However, due to the impossibility of obtaining a decent job and ongoing war, they, I quote, still decided not to make a definitive decision to return home, end of the quote. Is this correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Please confirm that the declared price of this car in 2021 was 350,000 Moldovan lei, which is around 17,000 euros, and that your brother paid this amount in cash.
In my brother's statements, he paid almost about 17,000 euros for the car. I was not there during the transaction. What I said, it's based on his statement. Also, by phone, he called me and asked me, should he write the full amount or not, like the entire amount he pays or not. And I told him the following. For the legal safety of this legal relationship that he's going to conclude, it would be right to stipulate the full amount that he's paying. That's all.
Okay. Did your brother transfer this money to Moldova, or did he bring the cash? If so, when?
If we analyze the events, I said that in June they came to the country. And you can notice they came together. This can be checked with the border police. They came together to the country. The child, the wife, and my brother. They came with some amount of money, as he told me, around 14,000 euros, because his wife works in Italy. And he went from Moscow to Italy, and then in June they came home. Additionally, when they purchased the car, I said quite clearly, they did not have the entire amount. Given the situation of this friend, other 5,000 euros, this can be checked. I think in early July 2021, parents came from Italy as well. I said previously my mother since 2007 and father since 2009 are in Italy.
So you stated now that your brother perhaps brought about 13,000 or 40,000 euros in cash.
This is what he told me.
Okay, so do you know whether they declared this amount? Because if I'm not mistaken, there is the obligation according to Moldovan law to declare any amount which exceeds $10,000 or euros.
Și am spus, mai
I
reiterez încă
said,
o dată
I
și
reiterate
accentuez acest
and
aspect.
I emphasize that according to the Republic of Moldova, an individual can bring into the country without declaring up to 10,000 euros. When they entered the country, it was him and his wife, two individuals.
Okay.
Ulterior și părinții au mai venit.
Subsequently, my parents came, and as I said before and during other questions, most of the money my parents were transferring by wire transfer, bank transfer, but always when they were coming, they were bringing 3, 4, 7,000 euros. And the same in July, when my parents came home, I think they had 7, 8,000 euros, but this is based on their statements, because it was my mother and father coming together. And so there was not enough money for the car, because there were some routine expenses, you see, living 3-4 months in Moldova, there are some expenses, so they didn't have enough money, and my father went to the bank and he got some money, but this can be checked. I think he got the equivalent of 5,000 euros. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please confirm that you informed the Commission that the source of funds used to buy this car were the income of your brother for a period of 6 years, from 2016 to June 2022, in the amount of around 55,000 euros. The income of his wife for the period of 2016-2021 in the amount of roughly 40,000 euros and 5,000 euros donations of your parents. Is this correct?
Adevărat.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Precizare, vă rog.
Just a clarification.
Donația părinților
I
în
mentioned
mașină.
my parents' donation with respect to the car when they purchased the car. But for instance, in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, there was a baptism, a christening of a boy,
Și-a prins tot le-a dat.
and my parents, if I'm not mistaken, gave them 3,000
Deci,
euros.
vreau ca să fac
I want to make these clarifications to make it clear. I mentioned the donation only in relation to the car, and the financial resources only related to the car. But as it is known, it's a reality for Moldova. My brother's wife also works additional. I only submitted the certificates based on which they paid taxes, but I want the Commission to understand, and citizens, and it's very important. This hearing is very important for me,
și pentru cetățenii Republicii Moldova.
for citizens of the Republic of Moldova,
Sunt peste 1 milion de oameni.
because there are over 1 million people who are abroad of Moldova. People of Moldova work overtime that are not part of the official records. So I provided the employment contract, that's the legal sources of income that they have. But his wife in Italy, for instance,
Am arătat și un contract.
I also showed a loan agreement. She's working additionally overtime. I think all our mothers who are working there can confirm this. Thank you.
Thank you. Your brother's income for 2022 is relevant actually to purchase the car which was bought into 2021. Do we agree with this?
În analiza
Based on the analysis of legal declared income, because there were some money transfers, so it wasn't only that amount up to 10,000, but also transfer up to 40,000 transfers up to 40,000 euros. I confirm that the goods that my family, in this case my brother, they were acquired based on the income that of his family. I mean him and his wife. Thank you.
You already provided information, but still, if you want to add anything concerning the difference between the declared purchase price of the car in 2021 and the market price of the similar car, which is around 25,000-30,000 euros, just please go ahead and if you want to add.
Sigur.
Of course.
Și eu am întrebat fratele meu.
I asked my brother.
Frate, zic, uite, iată, au apărut.
Brother, look, there's this question,
El mi-a spus următorul.
and he told me the following
Este
thing.
deja, eu nu mă pricep.
Who knows me knows that I am not, I don't like cars generally. So I asked him, and he told me the following: the price, market price that the companies show is usually 3,000–4,000 euros higher than the actual sale price, because companies have some commission. He purchased it directly from an individual. I told you before. They know each other, well, not for a lot of years, but for many years. Secondly, the same car model can vary in price depending on its well, with the equipment that is in there, and even now the car has some issues with electronics. And when I asked him about this question, this is how he explained the price he purchased the car for. As I said, they are my brother and this person. They are not strangers to each other. They know each other.
Thank you. You told the commission that neither you nor your wife use this car and that is parked in a car park. Is it correct?
Yes, true.
In the past, your wife had 3 cars in her possession, so your wife can drive a car. Is that correct?
I never denied this.
Okay, thank you. Why was it necessary to obtain an insurance license for the total period of 15 months if there was no intention of using this car?
I will explain. It wasn't 15 months, it was 1 year. I said before, I tried to explain things. They relate to the fact that my brother was supposed to settle down in the country. His wife used to work at the Academy of Science, and this is known for Moldova. That in 2021, there was a reform restructuring, and her position was cut down because she was on a child care leave. My brother is a specialist, international level specialist in physical education and sports, has a PhD, and the university for his degree, and they did not have an appropriate position. They were offering him a position of lecturer or teaching assistant. Because he did not find or was not able a job that would offer him stability, they decided to postpone this. But in order to make sure that the car has all the right documentation, I said they did not know exactly if they come until the new year or not, and by that time he did not have, he has a Russian driver's license, and he did not recognize or obtain the Moldovan equivalent. Pardon me, Mr. Chirtoacă, please speak louder, it's really hard to follow. I will speak louder. So she went and registered that document, drafted that document, to make sure that the car is not left without any documentation. Because in case of a stringent family need, for instance, why it wasn't on my name? Because I was at work. We were not married yet. We were a couple. I just asked her to do that. But actually, speaking of a car, neither me nor her did not drive it. Since 2008, when I got the driver's license, I never drove a car, so I lost the skill of driving. So, but I never had a conventional fine. I never drove abroad. So, moreover, to make it sure for everyone, from last year, since July until right now, there are over 120 taxi calls of my current wife. If you have a car and you use a car, do you need to call a taxi for 120 times when you need to go somewhere to call a taxi? So, iTaxi is a taxi company. You have the contacts and number, date and time when taxi was called, and easily you can see, and since we live together, the address and so on, everything can be checked here.
Okay, just one clarification. When I mentioned 15 months, I counted the insurance period of 3 months. That was under your name, and then 1 year. So that's why 15 months. Do you challenge that?
No. Yeah, you said 15 months about my current wife. That's why I made the correction.
Overall, 3 months under
Cumulatively, yes.
Deci nu contează.
Okay,
Da,
yes.
exact.
I do not challenge that.
Okay. And next question. Please explain why your brother would buy an expensive car in Moldova when he and his family had still not made a final decision about returning to Moldova and had then left this car parked and unused in a car park where it was left to depreciate.
Thank you for your question. I will explain this as well. I told you, when they came in June, they came with the purpose to settle down in the country. So that, well, a confirmation of what I said is that if you, the kid was born in 2014, in 2021 he turned 7, which means, according to the Moldovan rules, usually kids go to school at 7 years. And the date, when they purchased the car, they were sure they were staying in the country. But later on, during July and August, since they couldn't find jobs that would have ensured them a decent living in Moldova. And secondly, I said initially because I asked them, I'm telling you what they told me, and I said that my family members are open to be heard, including in public hearing. I nothing to hide, absolutely, including my brother, his wife, my parents. I told the commission about that. So they were not decided yet. Either they stay in Moldova or they go to the Russian Federation. Subsequently, well, in Moldova, they couldn't find a job. They decided to meet at winter holidays, because they met for winter holidays in Italy. And immediately, and this is known for everyone, well, things started in Russian Federation, and obviously they didn't go there either.
And I want to repeat once again, the car was bought from a friend. The friend really needed emergently money. And these circumstances actually led to the purchase of the car. And further, because they did not establish in the country, because I will repeat once again, they were trying to find a job in the country. They are both people that have worked previously. So, but the salaries that they had, for example, for the wife at the Academy of Science, they were very low. It was impossible to support a family with a small child. It was not covering the costs of the monthly living in here. But their intention was, and it is till today, because they are people with higher education and PhD, and they work, they want to work, and they want to have a decent income. And I don't think someone would be willing to work without that decent income. Thank you.
Is there anything you wish to add or clarify on this matter?
I would like to add something, just a comment. Taking into account that I am a judge, you saw my CV. I have 4 master's degrees to higher education. Nobody saw me driving a car. This is the first thing I want to mention. The second thing, I helped my brother because he called me and he asked me to help because he needed someone with a driving license registered in Moldova. The right to purchase a car at a price then that the buyer considered a good one is not related to obligation to have a driving license released by local authorities. But my registration in prolonging the insurance policy of the car and of my friends give us the opportunity to use us. I don't deny the fact that there is a risk for people to think that we would have used it. But I said from the very beginning, it's not my car and I'm not using it. And as a proof, as I said, these are the more than 120 calls of taxi and the address. That's the only thing I wanted to add, if there are any other questions. A question, can you please clarify where is the car today? Is it also in the parking? So, today it is at a friend of his that has a parking lot in Chișinău. So, where? Is it in the backyard or he has a house and he has a parking spot in front of his house, so it's there.
Okay. Thank you. And I will move to another subject, which is preferential apartment. On 21st June 2017, you applied for an apartment through a preferential price program to improve your living conditions. You provided a copy of your application to the Commission. By the working group's decision number 18 of 30th June 2021, your application was approved. On 21st March 2022, you entered into a contract to purchase 68.4 square meter apartment in Chișinău for the price of €28,728. Since 2010 and at the time of your application, you were the owner of a 38.4 square meter apartment located in Chișinău. You informed the Commission that the apartment in which you were living had been purchased by your parents and that you had never benefited from preferential housing. You also stated that the Special Commission had assessed the eligibility criteria and made their decision based on correct data. You sold the 38.4 square meter apartment on 29 July 2021 for the declared price of 450,000 Moldovan leis, which is around 21,000 euros. In your 2021 NIA declaration, you declared the payment of 322,560 Moldovan leis, around 16,000 euros, for the preferential apartment through an investment contract with SRL Basconlux. And here as well, I will start asking you questions, and you will be given opportunity to provide further details or explanations. Is it correct that in 2022, you signed a contract to purchase a 68.4 square meter apartment located in Chișinău for the purchase price of roughly 28,000 euros through a preferential price program to improve your conditions?
Yes, it's correct.
What is the status of the construction of this apartment?
I'm not a specialist in constructions, but I talked with the people that, the representatives of the construction, so it's 90% done. 90. And I confirm that it's not yet given into usage, because it was payment for a future real estate. This is mentioned in the declaration and in the contract, because in August 2021, it was a pre-contract that I signed with Basconstruct company, this LTD company, and in March 2022 it became a contract of purchase of real estate. So this is just something I wanted to add.
At the time of your application in 2017, you were the owner of a 38.4 square meter apartment located in Chișinău, where you had been living since 2010 and which you sold in July 2021. Is this correct?
Yes, absolutely correct.
You repeatedly underlined that this apartment had been purchased by your parents. Did this fact somehow affect your ownership rights?
Yes, it is proven also by documents the fact that in 2010, when I was graduating the university, the first cycle, you can see this in the bank account that I provided. So parents bought this flat and they allowed me to live there. And when my brother was coming for holidays, because Commission for surely has this information. So from 2012 till 2014, my brother had master studies in Moldova, and during a few sessions per year, he would be here. And if I'm not mistaken, it was free session actually, autumn, winter, and end of spring. And he would come, and he was using the same flat. But yes, it was purchased by me because my parents were not able to come from Italy home at that point.
But formally it was your apartment, yes? This apartment was in your ownership.
Yes, I have mentioned from the legal perspective, yes. I was just confirming about the financial source. And that flat was for the whole family. The whole family was using that when we needed. For example, parents would come from Italy, they would stay there. My brother, when he was having studies, sessions, he would live there. So it's actually a good of the family. Thank you.
You sold this apartment on 29 July 2021, shortly after the working group that was handling the application had decided to award you an apartment. Is this correct?
Yes, absolutely agree.
So you also stated that you had sold this apartment urgently at a reduced price in order to pay for the preferential price apartment. Is this correct?
It was 1,500 or 2,000 less. It was, yes. But I think in the third round of questions I explained, I really needed emergently money. And in order to buy that preferential money, because I wanted to have better living conditions. And I wrote this request in 2017. And you can see chronologically how the event happened. This is easy to check. So the flat was sold, and in a few days, the pre-contract was signed. I told you about this pre-contract before the sales.
When asked by the Commission about your eligibility for the preferential price apartment program, you stated that at the time of submitting the request, you did not own the living space purchased by you, that the eligibility criteria were exclusively determined by the working group, and that the decision was made at their discretion. Is it correct?
Yes, exactly. And I would like to explain. Do you allow me to explain? Okay. I have the copy of the original that I had from 2017, and I showed this to the Commission. I never denied the fact that I have a flat from 2010, July, 14th of July 2010. And it was purchased from the money of my parents that they gained outside the country, working outside the country. from February 2007 till 2009, my father was in Italy. And within the request, I wrote, in order to improve the living conditions. I didn't write the reasoning behind it being that I don't have a flat. And I'll tell you the details, and this can be verified with other colleagues. So this was the third program for the Supreme Council of Magistrates, or at least the second, through which the employers from the system, from the justice system, and I'm speaking about clerks and assistants, they were offered opportunity to buy at a preferential price. And it was a program also applied for police people, including the program, the national program, First House, Prima Casa. And when this information came from Supreme Council of Magistrates, and I'm speaking about the year 2017, the information was the following. Another project is going to be launched, because the previous one was finalized. And I think it was about the flats in Poșta Veche region and Botanica region from Chișinău. And we were told those who did not benefit previously of this project or for the improvement, they can apply. And this actually determined me, and it was obvious for me at that time, to apply a request for improvement of living conditions. And I think I scanned and I sent this to you. So, and I have here this original request from 2017. Thank you.
So, according to the eligibility conditions listed in the regulations, which is dated 12 December 2017, for the selection of a candidate for this program, for a judge to benefit from housing at a preferential price, among others, he or she should not already have housing in the municipality of Chișinău. Is this correct?
With the decision that you are referring to, I get acquainted on the 12th of December. The secretary showed this to me. And yesterday it was sent to me by mail. But from the analysis of the decision of the Supreme Council of Magistrates, we see that there are relevant circumstances, relevant circumstances. There is one provision there referring to this. I don't have it right now in front of me to read it, but it's from the materials that were presented to me. So that expression, other relevant circumstances, is there.
Okay, you told the Commission that it is, and I quote, "It is certain that I did not present any false, distorted data, nor did I hide any information." Is this correct?
Da, yes.
According to your application, I believe this is the one that you just showed to us, you did not inform the working group that at the time of requesting the preferential housing, you owned 38.4 square apartment. Please explain why you told the Commission that you had provided correct data to the working group.
I never told the Commission that I don't have a flat within the Commission. So I wrote in with the purpose to improve my living condition. That's what I said. I never said I didn't have a flat. I said in order to improve my living conditions.
And if I may, to inquire further on this issue, do you consider it ethical to omit in the application requesting housing at a preferential price to improve your living conditions the fact that you owned an apartment?
I would like to repeat once again, I never hide anything from the Commission and from the previous Commission in 2017. And I believe that it is ethical, taking into account that the flat from 2010 was exclusively the job of my parent. I was a student, I didn't have income, I was going every day to the university, and the request that I made for improvement of life conditions, I believe it is in accordance with the professional ethics, because me as a person, that in 2017 I intended to create a family, and I did this, I think I correspond to the ethical criteria, and in my situation, any person would do the same, would have done the same. And based on the analysis that the Commission presented me at 12th of December, the Commission could have looked at other criteria, because in the judge system, all the colleagues know this, everyone knows this, also from the police academy, people know this, and that my parents are abroad, and the flat from 2010 is absolutely their work. Why they didn't write the flat on their name, and I explained you this. They were not staying legally in Italy, and they were not able to come back home to register that. For the first time, they were able to come back in December 2010, and in July, when the flat was purchased, I was graduating the police academy, and I graduated the second in my promotion, in my group. I had to stay and work in Chișinău at that time, as a result of my good performance in the Academy of Police. And every single person that knows me knows this. I never hid this. And through this, I was honestly thinking that improving life conditions is something that I can take on board, and investing in this preferential was a good choice. Mr. Chirtoacă, I would like just to make some clarification, just to understand in the right way. When you sold the flat, according to your words, was a family good. The money that you obtained, did you share it with the whole family?
Dacă dumneavoastră o să vedem cronologic evenimentele,
sorry, if you look chronologically to the events, you will see that the parents were at home when I did this. And I told them, look, I want to apply and benefit from this opportunity. I don't have that money as savings because it was 60 or 70% that I had to pay for the preferential price in August. Because you will see that the transfer was made in August. That 320,000 lei. And my parents told me, listen, Ion, because they were already physically present, taking into account that that flat is one room and you have the possibility to extend your area, you can sell it and use that money to buy for the preferential price. So if we make a conclusion, this was not a family good, it was your flat, or it was a donation. No, officially, they didn't make any donation. I explained already, and please look at what I said. After 2010, yes, I lived there till August last year. I was studying and living there, and I explained why they wrote this on my name. Because the parents did not have legal basis to come to the country. I do not contest that. I just want to understand your arguments because I'm lost there. Because in written answer you told us many times, also verbally, that this was a family good, not your own. When I say family, I mean that they were also using the flat. They were your guests, you mean? I mean, it's my brother. How How can I call him a guest? Okay, I understand. The next thing. The Supreme Council of Magistrates, they had different programs for preferential flats. I want to understand, you as a judge, when you were making that request, you did not ask what are the conditions of the program? About the program, we had a meeting at the office. And I personally, as for example, this decision that was presented to me on the 12th, I did not receive that document at that time. Yes, but how did you participate? No, it was because I applied for the improvement. Okay, but when you were offered this opportunity, how were you, how did you find out? So the request that I made on the 2017, they informed me by phone that the request was approved. And the only thing that I did, it was just the request that I made in 2017. And the second thing, which is important, I've been told that during 5 or 10 days, I should go to the company, and because 184 people received approval, and I had to just pay during 10 days those 60%. Okay, but you are a candidate to be a member of the Council of the Magistrates, and the members are bearing a much higher responsibility than simple citizens, because simple citizens, they don't have this program, just to know for everyone. No, actually the program First House, which was intended at the national level, this could be, citizens, any citizen can participate. Yes, but for judges, for preferential price, it was for judges. Yes, yes, okay. My question here. Within the program for preferential price, this is a benefit that is offered to the workers in the justice sector. Do you know cases when in the same program other people that already had a flat also benefited, or you don't have any idea about anyone else? No, I don't have that information. Okay, last question. I believe it is correct. For example, if you are a member of the Council of Magistrates and you would administer such a program, and in the program it is written very clearly that the eligibility conditions are, first of all, you do not have a space and you work as a judge in the Chișinău municipality. Would you give living space, would you give real estate to a person that has already real estate? I do not doubt anything that you said. You wanted to have a family, you wanted to improve your life conditions. I don't ask you about that. I ask you specifically about this rule. Okay, I understood your question, and I'm gonna answer. If I would be a member of the Supreme Council of Magistrates, and if there are other relevant criteria stipulated there. So, first of all, the person needs to be a judge, yes? Second of all, he doesn't have a living space. Let's take how many people from the justice system don't have a living space. And my question is, for example, 184 people participated in this program. What I would do is I would take in decrease. For example, based on the criteria. Because the people who wrote this, why did they stipulate there and other relevant criteria? This expression, what this means. And you can call people from the Academy of Police and from other entities with whom I interact, and they know that my parents were abroad and working hard in order to make that money and to buy that flat. And I would accept in those conditions. Okay, last question. Do you see a problem in administration of such programs, taking into account that you were part of this program, but nobody explained to you all the rules and nobody explained to you what it means, other relevant circumstances, the expression. Do you think it's normal in such programs? As I said previously, when I was in the headquarters of the court in Chișinău, we've been told there is a program. Those who do not benefit of this, did not benefit of this previously, and those who want to improve, including those who want to improve their life conditions, they can apply this request. I had only this information. Okay, now, if you would ask me about how would you say, I would probably write some minutes in which I would write, okay, out of 3 criteria, how many do you cover? At least when you make that request. I was covering 2 criteria. I was a judge and I wanted to improve my living conditions.
So I have a question. Where do you live now? Because you sold the 38 square apartment and your preferential apartment is still under construction.
Thank you for the question. This question was something I was expecting. So, in all the 4 rounds of questions, I said that my parents were sending me money from abroad to my accounts. And I was managing those accounts based on the needs of the family. After 2010, my mom obtained legal documents and she was able to move freely from Italy to Moldova. And till 2015, a certain amount of money gathered on that account. And you will see that in 2015, we purchased the flat that the mother wrote on her name, because it was, of course, her work, her money. That money never came under the table. It was not cash. It was always through accounts. And in 2-3 days after that, we purchased the 67 square meter flat real estate. And my mom allowed me to live there. And I declared that officially that I live there. It's my mother's space.
Anything else you want to add to this question, or we can move forward to another one?
Just to make sure I say a few things. Obtaining the flat at the preferential price was based on my request, because the flat from my previous address did not reflect my work. It was not my money. And as a person, and I had a certain age, I was planning to create a family. And it was, that request was specifically to improve my life conditions.
Care a fost modalitatea de
What was the way, and that's actually reflected in Nadezhda's answers. I personally, morally, believe that I acted correctly in these circumstances. The fact that maybe, based on today's analysis, because, you know, every event when we analyze it, when it takes place, is subjective. It's like the history of that moment, but post factum, like when true historians make analysis. So if I were to analyze now, if I anticipated these questions, maybe I would have asked for minutes, or maybe if I were a member of the SCM, I would have asked to make sure that there are minutes of the meetings with the judges when these things are presented. Certainly, that apartment at Poșta Veche was sold in order to pay the preferential price that I don't deny that I benefited of. Thank you.
I will continue with 38 square meter apartment in Chișinău, which you bought in 2010. You did not declare this apartment in your 2012 NIA declaration. At that time, you were employed at the Ministry of Internal Affairs and you were obliged to complete the declaration. In your answers to the Commission, you noted that employees of the Ministry of Internal Affairs had become the subject of declaration starting from 2012, and there were uncertainties as to the interpretation of the legal requirements. Let me start with the questions now. Please confirm that you did not declare the 38 square meter apartment in your 2012 NIA declaration.
Da, eu am prezentat declarația.
Yes, I submitted the declaration.
You did not declare this apartment in your declaration.
Am spus că nu am indicat în declarație.
I did not mention the apartment, so I confirm what you said. I try to be brief.
Okay. In your response to written questions from the Commission, you explained that at that time there was no uniform practice in the process of completing the declaration of assets and interest. You also stated that you were told to enter the data relating to income and assets obtained in the year preceding the declaration and not the income and assets obtained prior to the year of the declaration. Is this correct?
Yes.
You told the Commission that the respective apartment had been purchased during the time you were completing your undergraduate studies, and the source of money was the remuneration from your parents who worked outside of Republic of Moldova. How do these facts explain the non-declaration of the property?
I admitted to the Commission that this was my omission. I realized that I did that now in the context of preventing, and I mentioned that, and this can be checked, that for the first time, employees of the Ministry of Interior filed declarations in 2012, so for you to understand, there was a person responsible for filling out. There was no online filing with digital signature. I think that started in 2017. But there was a person responsible, and the request that was in the discussions that we had to declare income obtained in 2012. So this is what I declared. Only that was the mission. I did not know. There was no methodology. There was the National Integrity Council at that time, because the authority, the NIA, came later, 2017, 2018. So there was nothing to guide me on how to fill out the declaration. I admitted this is my mission. In 2013, I declared the apartment. I asked around, I asked about it more, and I declared it in 2013, mentioning that it was purchased in 2010. I said that, and I hold to what I mentioned before.
Anything else you want to add to this subject?
No, I think I explained it. If anyone has some questions, maybe.
Okay. Next issue concerns non-disclosure of bank accounts in 2012-2015. The issue I will refer is related to non-disclosure of bank accounts in your annual declarations for 2012 to 2015. I'm going to refer to your bank accounts as bank account number 1, opened in 2010, bank account 2, opened in January 2011, this is USD account, bank account number 3, opened on 6 January 2011, this is Moldovan lei account, and bank account number 4, opened in 2013, it is Moldovan lei account. And in the materials we have furnished today, there is the list that provides the account details for you to identify them. Have you found it?
Da,
okay.
Da.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. According to the information available to the Commission during 2012 and 15, you did not disclose the following bank accounts. For year 2012, 3 bank accounts. This is bank account number 1, 2, and 3. For year 2013, all 4 bank accounts. For year 2014, 2 bank accounts. This is bank account number 1 and bank account number 4. And for year 2015, all 4 bank accounts. The above accounts were active with inflows and outflows as follows. Bank account number 1. This active bank account opened on 12 October 2020 and closed on 19 January 2022, on which you received transfers from your parents working abroad, and in the period of 2010 and 2015 you received around 107,000 euros. Bank account number 2 was opened in January 2011. This is USD bank account, and in 2012 you had 2,040 US dollars, and in 2013 and 15 zero balance. Bank account number 3 was opened in January 2011. This is Moldovan lei account, and account balance in the period of 2012-2015 was between 10,000 and around 13,000 Moldovan leis. Bank account number 4 was opened in 2013, and in this account you received salaries in the amount of 227,000, and this is the period between 2013 and 2015. In response to a question from the Commission as to why these bank accounts were not disclosed, we stated that at the time of drawing up the declarations of assets and personal interests, there were no funds in the bank accounts numbers 1, 2, and 3, and therefore it was not necessary to declare them. You stated that bank accounts number 2 and 3 are card accounts and that you never used them. You also noted that bank account number 4 had migrated several times to different banks and that you did not know that this bank account still existed. You told the Commission that you started declaring zero balance accounts from 2016 as soon as you became better familiarized with the legal requirements. You also noted that the funds in the accounts held by you until becoming the judge were exclusively from your parents working abroad, and that you had never been the de facto owner of these funds. Moreover, all the actions thereto were coordinated with your parents. Now let me ask you questions. Can you confirm that you had the 4 bank accounts I listed in the period of 2012 and 2015?
Yes.
The accounts were opened in your name and not your parents' name, and they were not joint accounts. Is it correct?
Yes.
Can you confirm the description of type of accounts and the activities?
Yes.
Let me read out.
If I may.
You'll be given the chance to explain, if I may complete the questions. So let me read out the legal provisions. Article 4, paragraph 1 of the law number 1264 of 2002, which was in force until 2016, required the subject of declarations to declare to NCI all financial assets, bank accounts, investment funds, equivalent forms of saving and investing, investments, bonds, checks, bills of exchange, and other documents incorporating the patrimonial rights of the declarant or his family members, direct investments in national currency or in foreign currency made by him or his family members, as well as other financial assets regardless of their value. Until 2016, did not the law require disclosure of all bank accounts regardless of value?
Deci eu susțin ceea ce dumneavoastră ziceți.
I support what you mentioned.
Prevederile legii. Obligat declararea tuturor conturilor indiferent.
So the law required the declaration of all accounts regardless of the funds on the accounts. But I want to make a clarification.
La momentul declarațiilor, conform
At the moment,
deci în
at the time of declaration, from what I remember, there were no money at the time of declaration. There was no money on the accounts. And I would like to make some clarification. For instance, account number 1, as you mentioned, that was a card account. It wasn't a deposit account because the amount that came from Italy, it was 107,000 euros transferred over the years since 2008 until 2015. These 107,000 euros are under this deposit account. It ends with 691. I submitted that to you. That was a card that was issued based on that account, but I never made any operations with it. Because from what I remember, Mr. Chirtoacă, please just explain. Nona read the legal provision, and we want to understand from the perspective of that legal provision. Did the nature of the account matter for declaration? Was it whether it was deposit or credit or not? Ms. Nadezhda, they had to be declared regardless. I understood. So yes, they had. Yes, I said that. I said it. So you think they had to be? Yes. Making an answer again. I was not a judge then. I was not that familiar with it. But today I analyze. So please let me make a remark. I declared these things. I became more interested and studied more thoroughly when I became a judge. Secondly, if you remember the 5-year declaration in section 7 and 8, we were told to mention goods that we did not mention over the last 5 years. I did not have anything to declare there. If that was for the last 10 years or regardless of the time of declaration, as of today's situation, I would have written that yes, I should have declared regardless of whether it was a salary account or something else. That's what I said. And I agreed with what Madam Nona said. They should have been declared. But I want to mention, I was not a judge at that time, and really I did not know all these things. So I wanted to give an explanation because I have the right to give an explanation. Because in the end, I want for things to be known. I have nothing to hide. This is money that my parents earned abroad by working. They are not coming from criminal activities. They are worked and earned by my mother and father. This is very important for me and for my family. The fact that, as a remark, because it was said that it was mentioned that my mother sent from abroad, I don't know how many 1,000 euros. Can you imagine how my mother felt? Sorry.
So, from your answers, I understand that you recognize that according to the law that was enforced before 2016, you were obliged to disclose this bank account. So I accept your statement.
Da.
Okay.
Asta am spus la început.
That's I said from the very beginning,
Asta am spus când mi-ați spus.
when you asked.
Okay.
So, do you have anything to add or clarify further on this issue?
Sigur că am.
Of course, I have something to add.
Deci cum am spus-o și în declarație.
As I stated when I received the questions, I was not a judge, and I recognize that according to the law that was legal provision of law 2064, that was valid until 2016, I admitted that. I read it more carefully. And please be attentive. As a person, the fact that I never identified myself with these goods, again, they legally belonged to me. But for instance, in 2012, you can see they were withdrawals. And when, by the time of declaring, there was zero balance. For instance, in 2014, because that is mentioned, I mentioned the 13,000 lei deposit account. That is part, you can check in the declaration for 2014. I declared it. For instance, the deposit in euros, I declared it. The salary, so to explain these four accounts, point number four, I declared the salary under income, and I was not making this connection that I should include in the declaration the salary card account as well. But the salary was part of my declaration. I want to make this clarification for the Commission because I understand these are important things. Should I have had the possibility, as I think it was question 7 in the 5-year declaration, if you made mistakes or omitted previously some things, I would have declared. And indeed, from today's analysis, being a judge, I agree I should have declared. So when I had money in those accounts, I was declaring them. That's the explanation. And this is what I'm saying to the Commission. And the financial resources, for instance, with 2,040 euros, US dollars, pardon. I can tell you the source, and for lei as well. Well, you can see, my father moved to Italy in February 2009, but if you check, in 2008, during 2008, my father was working in Moscow for 6 months, and he left the money at home and went to Italy in 2009. And when he came home in 2011, these details are important to me, and I think it's important for the Commission and for the society as well. He was keeping this money at home. But the house in Bălănești was, and even until now, well, we had 8 refugees living for 6 months there in our home. But he was keeping that money at home. And I was talking, I said, well, what if someone breaks in and steals the money, finds the money and steals them? So and then he decided this $2,040 are for my father's work in Moscow. This can be checked based on his living and coming. And the 13,000 lei amount, well, you were not asked about. That's important for me, and I believe it's important to say what are financial sources. Animals were sold. When I was small at home, we had many animals. Some of them were left, and I took care of them until 2012, 2013. And when they were sold, my parents, they still think that they will come back one day and have their households and buy animals and so on. Only this year someone lived there, they're refugees, as I said. And they were saying the following, well, when we come back, we will buy animals again. That's how they remembered. This is how morally they were thinking about it. That's what I wanted to say. For me, and why am I making these clarifications? Because all members of my family, parents, brother, sister-in-law, they all expressed their availability to be heard publicly and to receive these questions, so that you could see the things, and parents, my family, I have nothing to hide. Thank you.
And I move to last subject before closing the session, and this is related to criminal case decided in 2018. On 2nd April 2018, the court panel comprised of Sergiu Cubano, I hope I pronounce it correctly, who was the president of the panel, Victor Sandu, and you pronounced the verdict in the criminal case on the attempt to assassinate the leader of the Democratic Party of Moldova, Vladimir Plahotniuc. The panel sentenced 6 people to terms from 3 to 20 years in prison. On 18 December 2018, the Chișinău Court of Appeals partially annulled your decision and imposed stricter sentences for the 6 defendants. On 24 March 2020, the Supreme Court of Justice admitted the appeal filed by the defendant's lawyers, quashed the Chișinău Court of Appeal decision of 18 December 2018, and ordered the retrial of the case by the same appellate court before another panel of judges. On 11 November 2021, the Chișinău Court of Appeal in retrial proceedings rejected the prosecutor's appeal, admitted the defendant lawyers' appeals, and acquitted all 6 defendants on the assassination attempt account. In October 2019, a public media source published a report about the criminal investigation initiated against the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Justice, Ion Druta, for alleged improper interference with administration of justice. According to this public source, during a search of the Chief Justice's chambers, documents were seized that included a list of several cases that reached the Supreme Court, the names of the assigned judges with notations apparently describing suggested outcomes. The TV station published the respective list. On point 7 of this document, the above-mentioned case is described as very important. Furthermore, there is the remark that reads as follows, and I quote, "It is requested to expedite the examination," end of the quote. The document provides the procedural history of the case and contains information about the court panels, including your name. It makes reference to your decision of 2nd April 2018, pronouncing the verdicts, and the Court of Appeal's decision of 18 December 2018, and indicates that the defendants and their legal representatives submitted appeals. The document concludes with the following sentence. I quote, "Purpose: declare inadmissible appeals submitted by the defendants or their representatives and upholding the Court of Appeal's decision of 18 December 2018. End of the quote. And now let me put you some questions. Please confirm that you were a member of the court panel that pronounced the verdicts in the criminal case involving an attempt to assassinate the leader of the Democratic Party of Moldova, Vladimir Prahotniuc.
Yes, I confirm.
Please confirm that the panel of which you were a member sentenced 6 people to terms from 3 to 20 years in prison.
Yes, but I want to make a remark here, if I may.
Let me ask you questions and you will be given all the possibility to reply. Were you ever contacted
Ați fost vreodată contactat
by former...
de...
I'm sorry, translators, I hear you.
Sorry.
Were you ever contacted by former Supreme Court Justice Ion Druta or anyone else acting on his behalf about the case?
I declare with my full responsibility, and I'm ready to take a polygraph test. I never received any political indication or of any other nature, and I never allowed any interference in my judicial activities alleged, including in this case. I gave explanations to a TV channel, and I received the link on Tuesday evening from the Commission. I'm sorry that this TV channel, because the information that you mentioned, it is not entirely true. So there are some remarks about it. They did not show the entire interview with me, which was around 40 minutes long. But they just picked pieces from it. But in that interview, I told everything. Because, by the way, there were in pre-vetting several people who examined that case. But all that period, 2018-19, I gave explanations repeatedly regarding this case.
La întrebările jurnaliști niciodată nu m-am
I never
nu răspund la aceste
declined questions from journalists within the limit, I specify, within the limit of a code of ethics and professional conduct of a judge and within the limit of a criminal procedure code which allows what to be communicated and in the context that there is no irrevocable decision on this case. It is still on the docket of courts. I reiterate, the criminal case that you make reference to right now is on the docket of the Supreme Court of Justice. The following clarifications. That was not an attempted, it was a preparation. To make it clear. Secondly, the verdict of our panel was quashed. That made reference to three elements of crime: organizing illegal migration, wearing illegal firearms, and the third component was preparation of the attempt. With my all responsibility, I declare that I did not allow in my judge activity, I never allowed any interference in my judicial activity from any person, and not only with respect to this case. How correct would it be to say that if you look at the solution of the first court, 3 people were acquitted on preparation of murder, but organization of illegal migration and wearing arms, if you read the sentence, the convicted people, they admitted that on the same criminal case, it got to, so it was a criminal case in front of a court on a convicted which until now is recognized as guilty of preparing the murder by judges who are also going through the pre-vetting, or maybe they are already through the pre-vetting. Secondly, the Court of Appeal quashed the first level court's decision entirely and declared them all guilty of that preparation. I cannot give too many details. I can only give a timeline. I am not appreciating. In the decision, I expressed my position. Then it went to the Supreme Court of Justice. From the Supreme Court of Justice, it was sent to retrial, and the Court of Appeal in November, December 2021 did not acquit all of them, as you said. They were recognized guilty of organizing illegal migration. These things can be easily verified. If we look into the portal of the courts right now, and currently this case there is an appeal with the Supreme Court, and it is on the docket of the Supreme Court of Justice, or National Court. Given that only I, as a judge, was asked about this case, not only by the Commission, I was asked by representatives of media. I mentioned there are at least 2 colleagues who are going through the pre-vetting were somehow related, connected to this case, criminal case. The press did not go to any of them. I gave explanations in the context of the Code of Ethics. Secondly, how is it okay to analyze this when there is no final irrevocable decision? The Code of Ethics and professional conduct does not allow me to do that, being a judge, and I am a judge, and I cannot do that. But I'd like to mention, and I hope that the Commission, maybe you contacted, maybe the lawyers in that case, maybe the convicted, maybe they provided information about me, about judges' activity. I had only 2 complaints in my activity, and they were declared inadmissible. I had no complaints regarding this case. I have never been vain, and I always acted morally, including in this case. Personally, I reiterate, I made these clarifications because the information is not, the information you read is not entirely precise. You made, first of all, reference to a decision that is still on the docket of a court, and the data you mentioned are not entirely true that were mentioned in the media report. But if your question is directed from what you read, I don't know, and I cannot anticipate who wrote, what they wrote, and how accurate, and if there is any criminal case on what you mentioned, that the document ends out with declaring inadmissibility. First of all, it is about the panel of the Court of Appeal, and from what you read, from the link, that does not make reference to me as a person. I cannot express my position about circumstances valid for another people, examined by other people, that are not applicable to me. If you ask me personally, and I reiterate, personally, not only in this case, not only in this case, but in all cases, I never admitted, never allowed interference, and I was probably maybe the only judge that I wrote in the register some inappropriate behavior, but not in this case. But unfortunately, SCM never took act of it, and I self-recused in a case. This is a reflection of my work. And in the context of you asking me this question, I explained I have not received, and also from the interview, I never allowed any indications of any nature.
Okay, I just want to specify that we are only concerned with the count which is related to assassination attempt, and not any other part of the criminal case. So let me allow me now to put you some of follow-up questions. I think you partially replied, but still I would ask you the question: were you ever contacted by the president of the Chișinău Court or anyone else about the case while it was pending before you, aside from the persons who were permitted by law to communicate with you about the case?
Niciodată.
Never.
Okay.
Ex-president of the Supreme Court, I saw him for the first time at a meeting in the court in headquarters in Chișinău, nothing else. If I'm not mistaken, this happened in 2017, at the beginning of the year, because we had a meeting. And this can be confirmed by all my colleagues. We were 38, approximately 38 judges at that meeting.
Thank you. Given the Chișinău Court of Appeal's decision of 11 November 2021, by which the defendants were acquitted, how do you consider your decision of 2nd April 2011 in the case described above? And do you contend that it was taken in accordance with the law?
I have read the decision that you are talking about. So it was not, it was Article 362 about illegal migration. And the motivation of the Court of Appeal is that, and I said this also in the interview, that the witness for which it was a simplified procedure, he changed his declaration in the Court of Appeal. And when I examined this, I was part of the panel, and I could not anticipate that. Moreover, the derogatory commission that came from Ukraine also was revised, because it was also a sentence in Ukraine, a case in Ukraine. So I will repeat, I fully acted based on the criminal code.
Okay.
And I can, none of the judges can anticipate the fact that a witness that is, by the way, condemned already in this case, would change his declaration. I personally At that phase, I acted based on the proofs. I cannot appreciate what happened after that. There is an institution that is responsible for that. It's not my responsibility. But I'm telling you in front of everyone that, first of all, it was not full condemnation, it was partial, and the case is still at the Supreme Court of Justice, so I cannot speak more.
And last question, you partially already replied to it, but still, according to the law on integrity number 82 of 2008, Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct of Judges adopted by the General Assembly of Judges in 2015, a judge should inform a president of the court about improper influence on his activities. Was there any improper influence or interference in your activity from any of your colleagues, court leadership, politicians, or anyone else in relation to your examination of this case?
I already answered in 2017. I was at the headquarters of the Supreme Court of Justice, and what happened till today since then, I am not aware. Are you speaking about a different file? Yeah, because she asked me in my activity in general, so it's not about this file. In 2017, can you repeat the year? 2017. One of the parties came to my office at 7 in the morning, and I talked about this already.
Okay, but nothing in relation with this case. So you say that there was no interference whatsoever?
No. I answer with my full responsibility. No, whatsoever. Personally, to me, no one on this file did not try to make any interferences. The only case I had was in 2007, when the person who was a prosecutor, he came at 7 in the morning, before the working hours. He came to my office and he started to try something. I went and I made the official statement at the register about that, and I took myself off that case. I don't know what happened afterwards in that case. Just a clarification. We speak about this criminal code when it comes to someone that tried to kill the leader of the Democratic Party, Mr. Plahotniuc. You say that you condemned and that the witness changed afterwards the statements. But the condemned sentence for 20 years, is it something that you give based on what a witness said and that's it? That's all you take for basis? No, I didn't say that. What I said is that the solution that we came to was based on all the documents that we managed to gather in this case. And 3 people were involved in this, and this was actually, you can see the case. Yes, but how do you explain that those people were acquitted? Listen, the Court of Appeal, they took one decision, and then they, in the Supreme Court of Justice, they took another decision on illegal migration. Okay, how do you explain that on the list of the ex-president Ion Druță, the list that we found in his office, there is this list and you are one of the name, and it's a case which is controlled and with concrete indications what exactly should be done in that case. How do you explain all of this? I have no idea what was in Mr. Druță's office. I am explaining when I was examining that case, I didn't have any pressure, any interference. I have examined everything just based on the proofs that were given. Why this is there, I cannot tell you. I know that the verdict was given by the court. Yeah, but I'm asking not about what is happening now with the case. I am speaking specifically with that case about the attempt to kill. Yes, it's about the attempt to kill, yes.
If you have anything to add, if not, Mr. Chairman, I'm done with this question. But
Okay.
it's up to the...
Any other
would you
colleagues on this question
Okay.
or these questions so far? Then I would suggest that we now go into closed session and to have one additional issue to discuss with you where issues of privacy do play a role. Yes, Nadia?
Maybe the candidate wants to have the brief.
Oh yeah, that's
No,
a good
on
one.
this
Yeah.
issue, yes. Yeah.
No, on all, before, we usually do it like that. Before we
yes,
close
yeah.
the session.
No, but it would be useful. What we normally do, Mr. Chirtoacă, is that at the end of the hearing, we give the candidate an opportunity to make a brief closing comment. Since we will go into closed session and you may want to have your brief closing comment in public, I would suggest that you may use your right to make that closing comment right now when we still record and we still have this in open session. And then after that we go into closed session. Would you like to make use of that opportunity right now, or would you like to make use of it later? It's up to you to make that determination.
Nu este nicio problemă, să fac acum.
I can make this declaration now.
Am să menționez câteva
I would like to mention a few things
luarea de cuvânt aceasta.
within this hearing.
Vreau să menționez un singur lucru. Eu
So,
personal
first of all, one
am
thing.
simțul datoriei
I
față
personally
țara
have a very strong feeling of responsibility for this country. I was a teacher, I was a judge, I was involved in scientific research, and in all those roles,
de 12 ani în serviciu public.
till 12, since I'm in public service for 12 years. And I was responsible and respectful towards all the people with whom I interacted. The situation of the pre-vetting and the situation that we are facing now is a situation when there are a lot of things that you can say and it can be seen subjective. Some things happened in the past, but I want to mention that I will not be modest. I was one of the most active judges that supported this pre-vetting law. And in the plenary of the parliament on 28th of January 21, we, with a colleague of mine, we participated actively in improvement of this law. And we said that the justice system in this country was demonized. We had a lot of issues. We spoke loudly, publicly about those things. And I don't know if the Commission received those declarations that I made. Because my hope as a citizen of this country is to live in a strong country with safety and security, viable security for citizens. A country where the citizens would like to return as their homeland. A country where I wanted to be useful and bring my contribution as a citizen and as an expert. And I always, and I explained this previously, I always had the desire to develop. I made even studies in theology, PhD. I wanted to evolve. And for everything I'd done, I also was involved in a lot of sports activity, performance sport activity, and for everything I want to thank my parents who worked like slaves abroad, just for me as a child to have a decent living here in the country of Moldova, to be able to learn. Me as a teacher, I don't know, there are hundreds and maybe thousands of students that were my students. You can probably talk to them also. How was I as a teacher? How was I as a human being? As a judge, I was sometimes rough when applying the law, and I was human and understanding when it was the case. And I want to thank my parents for everything that I have. And in my answers, if there are some unclarities, of course, my parents presented their desire and openness to be part of auditions if it's necessary. And based on this, if to speak about the results of this pre-vetting and everyone else that is involved, not only for me, I hope that by the end of the process, as I said in 2022, in an interview, I hope that after many years, we can say that this process of pre-vetting for the Republic of Moldova was something that was well organized. And I am aware of the fact that any reform has collateral effects. And I hope and I trust that the Commission is going to make sure that there are no collateral victims. And the task that you are given is very responsible, and from you it's going to depend how strong the future justice system of Moldova is going to be. For those colleagues that were already auditioned, that will be auditioned, that will be, heard, I think it's a very important process. And I think the future board of the Commission will have a big responsibility to make people trust the system again, to make the citizens happy. And one of the big problems of the justice system was, from my perspective, lack of communication. And today, I feel quite free to speak about things, and I will tell you why. Because with the Madam Secretary, I was actually speaking about this before the meeting. The hardest time is when you are in traffic at a crossroad and you don't know which way to take. And before having this hearing, I was expecting, and my parents were expecting with me. My parents worked as teachers, and they left this country in order to be able to support me. And the questions that I received within this hearing were about my parents and their income and our income. And in this context, I'm open. And I want to thank everyone that supported me in this path. This was all I wanted to say. If you don't have any other questions, that's it from my side.